Welcome to our very first episode where we're going to talk to bloggers and we're going to find out what they've learned and gather some lessons or encouragement. We've recorded a couple episodes so far of Sarah's journey. Here's the first episode of me, Kathy Mitchell of WP Barista, and my chat with Sarah from 12 on Main.
Okay, let's see. So it's been about 6 or 7 years I started, but I wasn't serious about it. The reason I started is funny is my husband was helping me with all of my projects at home, and he said, "I'm not going to help you with another project until you start a blog." And I was like, "No." So he actually set it up, and he originally set it up on Weebly. Yeah, and he's here. I set it up. He tried it out, and so I just finally, I don't know, a month or two later, I decided to try it out, and after a couple of months, it just started to gain a little bit of traction. I was like, "Oh, okay, maybe this is interesting." We ended up transferring it over to a WordPress site about 6 months into having my blog. And then I was on AdSense just making, I don't know, $30, or some months I was making $6. I remember telling a friend that I would be thrilled if I could eventually make enough to pay a car payment or something like that, or pay for the groceries. And it has snowballed. And every year I've tried to push myself and up my goals to have this be to end up being a full-time income, and then pushing beyond that and having it be more passive income, stuff like that. And it's been really great. During COVID, the last couple of years, my site did very well. And then just in the last, I don't know, like 6 months, I've seen a big Pinterest decline. My SEO had been steadily going up, but my Pinterest has been doing this. And I had somebody hired out to do my Pinterest for a couple of years, and it was going really well. And then it just kept declining. And I decided to take a break and see if I could save some money, first of all, and because I wasn't bringing the return on it. And then it's just been a struggle with Pinterest. And that's, I think, been my biggest thorn in my side, is that. And I'm just trying to get my SEO better. And so there's a couple things I've written down that I wanted to look at and see what your thoughts were on that.
So, were you working full time when you?
Yeah, I was working full time with 4 kids, and I was able to take them to work with me because it was a family business. But I was working as much as I could. And I also was baking bread for a local restaurant. I was making their bread. I was their pastry chef. So I could bake the bread and the cake. And I remember making $200 a month, and that was my spending money. That 10 years ago. Okay. But because my daughter, who is my youngest, she was just about a year old. I just had a bunch of little kids, and trying to find time to work. And when I started doing this, there was nights I'd work until 2 or 3 in the morning. That was my typing time. That's when I got to work. It was
Very
my,
relatable. And were you always doing home projects or has this
yeah.
evolved?
Yeah, we were always doing home projects, and I regret not starting it sooner because we had a lot of projects that we could have included, but I wasn't willing to do it, and I didn't think about it at the time. But yeah, so it was mainly home projects when I started it, and it's evolved into all things home, garden, DIY, recipes. Sourdough has done really well for me.
Okay. So what were the questions that you had for me?
So a couple of questions I had, just as far as like my website, maybe improving my SEO and stuff like that, or just my site health. I use that Ahrefs as well. And I don't know how accurate that is. I used to do those link parties, and I have a lot of those kind of posts that I'm trying to decide if I should delete them, redirect them, what I should do. I just don't know the right thing to do for them. For a long time, it would just say Merry Monday Link Party. And that was the URL and all that. And so those ones I haven't really done much with, but some of them that I decided, oh, I need to start making this an actual blog post, like 5 ways to do blah, blah, blah to improve your garden. And so then I've gone back and I've tried to update those and actually do a post on there that's substantial, just to see if I can, since it's been there a while. But a lot of them I feel are just dragging my site down. I just don't know if it's worth. A lot of bloggers say, yeah, I've deleted all these or I redirected them, but I just am not sure what the right thing to do is there.
Yeah,
Um,
you do need to do something with them because they probably are dragging your site.
yeah. And then I noticed on my back end, it said that I had some slow landing pages, like certain popular pages were being slow, and how to like address that. And then Pinterest, I started a Pinterest course about January. The course, it was with Livy Road Studio. I think I saw the link on one of your emails. You just
Okay.
said this lady has some great. And so I actually took her course, and so I decided to her plan and try it and see if it
How
helps.
long
And
have you been doing that?
about a month.
Okay. So not
So
long enough to really see a difference.
yeah, everything's
Yeah.
just, I don't know, Pinterest is just the city. There was a huge decline, which I just can't figure out. December 25th. And I usually will have a drop in traffic on December 25th, but to have that huge of a drop and have it stay down like that, it almost made me feel like there was something else going on. Like I couldn't figure out why it had dropped so bad and like it hadn't rebounded, because it always rebounded. And so that's why I thought something going on. As far as, I had a blogging friend that she couldn't figure out why her traffic had dropped, and that she ended up having to go through Orange Geek, her hosting company, and they had been able to log into her blog and was like stealing her, somehow mirroring her traffic or taking it. Anyways, it was just a by chance that they figured that out. So I just am like suspicious. I'm like, is it something like that? Or is it really just the stats that everything is just dropped off on Pinterest and I just have to start from square one again?
It's
So
so hard to know. Have a look. Let's look at a whole month, a year, if it'll let us. Okay, February 22 to 23. Will you let us do that? Okay. This is just Pinterest. This is where I think this is where they changed what they like. So up until this point in your blog, they'd done it about a year before, I think in 2021, but they changed, instead of recycling pins, you all of a sudden couldn't do any recycling. It had to be fresh pins. Around this time, looks like that's when. So when did you stop recycling pins?
I'm not sure, because I was having
And when
hired.
else? Yeah.
And I think it was about September of last year that I decided to take a break from having them do it. But I was sending them new pins and stuff like that for them to post, but and things were really great for a long time.
So you stopped at about this point. So it had already gone down. And then it started to do okay. And this is, what did you do before Christmas last year?
I have a couple Christmas pins that just do really well. And so that was just, I think, the natural course. But honestly, see, I didn't know all that time I was repinning stuff, because I was just pinning and scheduling it out to boards, just like I had been before. I was also creating new pins and scheduling them out through Pinterest, like through their scheduler. And then I would go through but this lady that I took this course from, now I create 5 pins for each blog post. And then you go in and you upload them onto Tailwind. And then there's a bunch of different steps, but then you can go through and you can edit each pin just a little bit, and it will create a new pin. So every time you pin that, it creates a new pin, and you can see it in the source code that it's a new pin. So I've been trying that and seeing, okay, if it's showing that all of them are new pins, then,
So when I looked at your stats, this traffic dive from, say, April last year, is this the thing you're most concerned about?
yeah, but it was about December 25th of 2022 is when it dropped even more. Like it went to page views that I haven't seen in 4 or 5 years.
Because this is for the year. If we compare this to the previous period. And so you can tell that this first quarter here, that's like a normal, it always does better in the spring,
And it's
right?
not.
And then Christmas, it always does better. So this is
Yes.
2021.
Yeah.
Were we still in COVID? So things might be different. We were
Yeah.
coming out of COVID in 2021.
Yeah.
And then this is 2022, and things have been significantly lower, like almost half the whole way. But what's interesting is it doesn't look like there's a technical problem. Otherwise, your lines would look different. These lines
Okay.
go up at the right time, they go down at the right time, go up at the right time, except for this month.
Right there in December 25th.
This is the 25th, and both of them come down. So that
Mhm.
doesn't actually look like a technical problem to me. It looks like regular dip. This is where things separate. So in
Yes.
2021, things started to do better, right? After the Christmas, it probably stays the same and then goes up for the
Yes.
spring. This year going down. But it's only been a month and you switched things. So I wouldn't base too much on the last month or 2 months. What about all traffic? So this one went down. This was 2021, and then this was 2023. That's a year's worth of traffic, right? So it went down almost by half. This one only went down a little bit,
Yeah.
and this one went up quite a bit, by
Yeah.
700%. Did you do something different on Instagram?
Not really. No, I actually have not been really active on Instagram. I have my link tree. Sometimes I share links in my stories and stuff like that. But
Okay, because the
um,
Instagram stories also went up by 250% in the
yeah,
year. So I would think focusing on Instagram is a really good idea.
yeah, I've been trying to.
What's interesting is looking at all of it, including organic. So the orange is 2021 and this one is 2022. And your organic search has gone down a little. Social like was probably because of Pinterest.
Yeah,
And that's the biggest concern for you because that
yeah,
is worth 650,000 visits that year. Organic search is not quite as important. That's 400,000 visits. And what was this one? 600,000 visits was social. So now you're looking at them almost being competitive, 658 and 358 and 359, which is what we like to see, actually. I like to see the search and the social be quite neck and neck, unless one's doing poorly. But usually, if you're doing both really well, they should be quite competitive. You should have one like social soaring ahead because what happens is if they change their platform, you're screwed and it's not your property. Where at least if it's search, you have control over that, some control over it. And your
yeah.
direct is probably emails and what?
It is. Yeah, I believe that's what it is.
And that's about the same. So that's great. Your bounce rate, you're still targeting the right people. They're not jumping away or something like you haven't lost a bunch of people. You're not getting the wrong people. Unfortunately, I don't see a technical problem or your stats would look different. It's just what you've noticed. So then we would have to go into Pinterest and have a real deep dive on what happened.
Yeah,
And then I would need Octavia to come and have a look because she's my Pinterest girl. Do you have questions that I could help you like this week or this month? The other thing I looked at was I did a report on our site and your on page SEO is fantastic. So your core web vitals could be a little bit better, like it's low on some places. I hope you've got some encouragement from Sarah and can maybe see yourself in some of the struggles she's having. Next week, we do a deep dive on page SEO. We also talk about what to do with the link parties and how to know what posts to keep and what to get rid of, and then how to get rid of them safely for SEO. So if this is something that you've enjoyed, please let me know and we'll keep following Sarah's journey. But for now, be encouraged and have a great week.